This is the Note Closers Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closers Show. I'm Scott Carson, CEO of WeCloseNotes.com, and I'm excited to be here today with you guys. Now, it is a gorgeous day here in Austin, Texas. First off, I want to thank all of you for watching either on Facebook Live or joining us and listening to us on iTunes or Stitcher or any of the podcast platforms out there. We are always blessed and humbled that you would take time out of your busy day to join us and listen to what this big guy has to say. Today's topic is something that it comes from questions being asked on Facebook, on the WCN Crew private Facebook page. For those who don't know, we have for any students of ours, we have a private Facebook page that's a growing Facebook, pretty excited about, very, very interactive, a lot of great questions, a lot of great comments, a lot of networking taking place. And that is a beautiful thing. And it really comes in handy with today's show and today's episode. So about a week and a half ago, right around the first week of the new year, I posted a question, what questions would you guys like to see answered? Any topics they'd like to be seeing? And our buddy, I think Frank Fiore or Robert Burrell, remember who, they posted several questions, and this is one of the questions. How do you build a team in a market outside of your backyard? What's the most effective way to do that? How do you find people to help you out with things? And first and foremost, I think we're going to start off on some really kind of basic stuff, and we'll dive in a little bit deeper stuff. So I totally encourage you guys to ask questions as we go through this, but trust me, don't be asking questions, and I'll probably get ahead of. So the first thing that I always like to tell people is, look, the easiest way is not to try to eat the whole elephant at once. Try not to have the whole United States as your market. Now, I know as new note investors, a lot of us are like, well, we have all these deals. We don't want to miss on a good deal by limiting our focus. And I can agree a little bit to that, but I can also agree to listen. Pick 2-3 markets at the most, or states, because if you're buying in or looking to buy in 12 states, you're just going to be overwhelmed and not be able to get a lot of your good due diligence done initially. So, instead of eating the whole pie, have a slice at a time and work our way forward. So, a couple of things that I think you need to really understand is you're going to be doing the same things in an outside market that you would be doing in your local market. Now let's talk about what you do in your local market. That's okay. Hopefully you are a member of a local real estate investment club if you're buying in your local market. Now here in Austin, I haven't bought anything in a local market. I still occasionally will go to local real estate investment networking things occasionally. But for the most part, I'm not buying anything here in Austin. But that doesn't mean I'm not a member of a Houston club or a Dallas club. I'm also a member of quite a few clubs across the country that I'm tapped into through one or two sources. Now, you can always, I like going to and checking out the national RIA groups. If you go to nationalria.com, that will list all the main charters for the big real estate investment associations across the country. Most of them are really good. There's a few that are very small, but most of them are pretty good. That's a great place to go research-wise. And what I mean by research-wise, contacting the president, contacting the VP, and inquiring about if you need a realtor, and you have any investor-friendly realtors, you have any rehab crews, and do you have a vendors list? Now, some of those people will want you to join before they get information out, but usually they'll give you 1 or 2 good recommendations, especially if you need a good realtor. And your local and your investor-friendly realtors often have crews that they've reached out to or people they can help out with. That's usually the first spot that we go to. Now, a lot of people will go to realtor.com to find realtors, and that's okay. That's fine. I would just prefer to go to the real estate investment clubs. Now, you're going to be buying notes in some cities where they're maybe smaller, don't have a big real estate investment group, and that's fine. The next phase that I would go to besides the national RIA group is then just go to meetup.com. Okay. Meetup.com is an important thing. All right. Meetup.com is a very easy way to literally search by typing in real estate and the city that you're looking for, and it'll pull up all sorts of real estate investment focus groups or any real estate or networking group or meetup group that has real estate as a hashtag or keyword search in an aspect, okay? So the thing to keep in mind with that is you can be overwhelmed, but what happens is it'll often lead you to a real estate investment club that has a decent page. You'll be able to see how many members are a part of it. It's usually free to join the online meetup groups. They often will have a discussion board that you can post questions to it. You can ask questions. You can reach out to the main administrator or the president of the club and ask them questions. Often they're pretty good. Often give their email right there. I think the big thing is the discussion boards are phenomenal for you to either A, post questions or eventually post your deals, okay? Or asking for realtors for help in the neck of the woods. Now, a third thing that you can always do as well, all right, you can jump on realtor.com. I think activerain.com is a great website. Now, a lot of people haven't used ActiveRain that much. It's a free website for real estate professionals. Those that use it on a regular basis, that you've got points, because what happens is you create an account with ActiveRain. It gives you points for everything that you do in ActiveRain, whether you like somebody else's post. People have a lot of blogs on there. ActiveRain was started by Trulia, and there's a couple 100,000 real estate professionals. It allows for you to check for insurance people, appraisers, realtors, commercial agents, brokers, mortgage bankers, mortgage brokers, not mortgage bankers, but mortgage brokers, loan officers, and real estate investors on there. It's a pretty good sized list. I think I'm ranked number 19 in Travis County or 19 in Texas. I don't know exactly where I exactly rank, but if you post blogs, what's really cool is it allows you to kind of edit your page if you'd like it to be. All right. If you want it to be, about your business, great. If you want to be referrals or case studies, it's kind of a blob of information that you can kind of create it for your own custom page. Now, a lot of people will create an ActiveRain profile and they'll never go on there to even put their profile. The one big advantage I love about ActiveRain is the referral network. So we've used ActiveRain. I've used a lot of ActiveRain posts in the past to find realtors to pull comps or potential investor-friendly realtors that do drive-bys and CMAs or even find buyers for our assets. It's a beautiful thing that way when it comes to it, but you've got to use it. It's like a muscle. If you don't use that muscle, it gets weak and you don't have any access to it. And so people get upset because they don't ever use ActiveRain. They go onto their Facebook profile or even a picture and they post a referral. Nobody takes it seriously because all they do is click on their profile and see, well, they don't have a lot of information here. They may not even be in business anymore. So 3 big things, like I said, REIA clubs. National REIA is a good point, but you can also find other reiclub.com. We'll give you a list of stuff and just Googling it. Meetup.com, I think, is a little bit more effective aspect of things to give you a lot of groups, and you can kind of choose and pick and join a variety of things. One thing about meetup groups too, or meetup.com groups, sometimes when you join a group, it'll list the mailing list, and you can send an email out to the entire member list of that specific group. And sometimes these groups have 300, 400, 4,000 people too. And one email out to the group, to the mailing list, can be a very effective marketing tool to find a lot of things, okay? I'm a big proponent of also, besides ActiveRain, Meetup, and National REIA Club, of networking and asking on Facebook groups. If you've got a group like the WCN crew, 610 members, something like that, it's a great place because everybody's very active, and you often get quite a bit of responses. I know that I think Dan Zatofsky posted something yesterday looking for a realtor in a specific area, and somebody responded. Somebody was asking a question about bankruptcy 13. I think it was Gail Greenberg today. Is getting a couple of responses. Okay. I think that's a great spot. There's a lot of big real estate groups out there that can help answer your questions. They're either local. I know there's a big real estate group in Houston that I'm a part of, 713 Real Estate Investment Club. That's our buddy Landon runs. Great resource, great place to post. What you don't want to see, which often happens in a lot of real estate groups, is where it stops becoming interactive, where people just post and nobody really responds. That's what you don't want to see in a Facebook group. But those are really your four biggest things, I would say. Facebook groups are growing a bit bigger. Meetup would be the second. And then, your real estate clubs or reiclubs.com is your third, and really Active Reign's kind of been out of the fourth one weakest. But the thing you have to do when you're building teams is ask. Be specific about what you're looking for. All right? It's like you would do anything locally. If I'm going to do a rehab, I'm going to ask for 2 or 3 people to go by and give me different bids so I can pick the best one. I'm also going to ask for references. Who would you recommend? Okay. Another thing that's really good is if you're going to be buying in a specific area, you know what you probably need to do on a regular basis? I mean, if you're buying on a regular basis area, get on a plane and go out to that area. Go out and meet with rehabbers. Go out and meet with fix and flippers. Go out and meet with your your investment team in an area. That way you can meet people face to face, eye to eye, and really have a good feel for what's going on in the market. This is important if you're buying consistently in one area. If you're not buying in one area, you're buying in areas, you may not want to jump in and visit 20 different areas. But if you pick a couple spots, that would probably be a good start to go out to do and kind of get your way, feel around it. I know one of the reasons I fell in love with Indiana as an investment thing is we drove around Indiana. Spent a couple days there multiple times, driving around looking at property, the cities, getting a feel for things, getting comfortable with the area. And we're big fans of Indiana. When we reached, not the same thing about Florida. I've spent a lot of time driving around Florida, meeting with people, talking to realtors, building that team. And I know if you're in different parts of the country, like you're in San Francisco, you may want to fly all the way across to Indiana or Fort Myers or wherever you're investing at. But honestly, Southwest is pretty cheap, okay? And sometimes if you're going to be buying in a consistent area and you're seeing deals consistently in Columbus or Detroit or Indiana or Indianapolis, you probably best to jump on, spend a couple days out there. It's a write-off. It's a business expense, but it's an opportunity for you to really see what's going on and identify and can get some really great information. I've had realtors that we've met with face-to-face pull lists of zip codes that we wanted to avoid. That's a really valuable tool when it comes to looking at tapes and seeing what's going on. We want to avoid these zip codes. Okay, we'll avoid these zip codes. Okay. Plus it also good in case somebody, if you meet with somebody face to face, they're a little bit less likely to flake off than if you just talk to them on the phone. We've had this happen multiple times. We call realtors and they flake off. They're like, oh yeah, I'll go do that. And then they flake off. It just happens. And when you can find a really good realtor, you want to make sure and take care of them. Make sure that they're doing amazing things for you. Okay. So I'm going to answer. You got any questions now for me? That would be the good time to ask. Okay. Let's see here. Active Reign is the thing. Rainy Robinson, ActiveReign.com. Not Active Ring, Active Reign, like it's raining. ActiveReign.com. Okay. Landon Rothstein, you run a great group there in Houston. I missed what group or site that you said may have 300, 400, or 4,000 lists. If you go to meetup.com and search in some of the biggest cities in the country, you'll often find that some of these meetup groups online have large members. I think San Diego's got a couple groups that are big. San Francisco, LA, I think Tampa. There's some big groups out there. We're looking for real estate investment clubs. Those are some great groups to search out there. I'm not going to give you our list, but I'll give you a hint there of a few of those. Okay. Thanks, Ramy. Appreciate that. Yep, that's right. Thanks for fixing that. You can go to ActiveReign.com. Definitely an easy thing on there to do stuff. What other questions do you have out there? Now, some people talk about raising capital in a local area. We're looking at a new group. One of the things I think you need to meet when you're out there talking or visiting with people is go by and talk to the local title company, the local escrow or title company that you're closing deals at. Because often the title companies will serve as a hub for traditional transactions. You got realtors, you got mortgage brokers, they got lenders, all sorts of stuff kind of come together at the title company. So your title company really knows what's going on in a market. And of course, they want your business, so they want you to close these deals with you. And when you're buying a note, you're not going to be using a title company initially because you're buying the debt, you're not buying the actual property. But if you turn around and sell it, list it as an REO, you're going to need a title company to do it. Now, going and meeting with a title company is an effective tool kind of build relationships because they often know the rehabbers as well, besides the realtors. They often know who private investors are in the area. And anytime we've gone and met with a title company and asked them, hey, do you know who's lending money? Anybody got any private investors that are lending money to people? Would you be willing to introduce me to them? They've always been willing to either give me 3 or 4 names, or they would be like, let me check, let me talk to them and give permission, and I give their information out, which is completely fine and respectable to do. Another thing we have used title companies for is sometimes pulling lists. Oftentimes, a local title company can do a quick search through their software to pull a list of self-directed IRA investors, and they can send it to me in a spreadsheet. So it works out really, really well. So let's recap on this. You're going to need realtors, rehab crews. I also consider that property preservation. We'll throw that in there as a third thing. Says rehab crews, clean out crews. It's important. Title company, okay, and then potentially local private investors. So all those are great, and all those are often members of your local REIA clubs. So it's important to have that aspect of things. So Landon, this is on here. Thanks, Scott. I run an active meetup with about 1,100 members this month. I'm going to have Mitch Stevens speak. Awesome. Appreciate it. It's fine. Thanks for the shameless plug there, Ron Landon. You need to probably have me come out at some point, bud. If you're going to use our podcast to I'd love to come down and speak at your group plan. We'll figure that out. Let's talk afterwards. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at, guys, is those are the same people that you would go out and meet with locally in your aspect. Now, one thing that you may also want to do is find turnkey specialists in a specific market. We have done this in Columbus. We've done this in Michigan. We've done this in Indianapolis. We've done this in quite a few spots where we will actually go out and talk with, or we've met people that are doing some really nice turnkey stuff to find out what they're looking for. Because if you can find an asset that doesn't turn into a reperforming note but turns an REO, you may want to try to find a ready-made buyer who would be willing to take it off your hands and put it in their portfolio. I know this is one big thing that Dan Zatowski likes to do when he buys assets, is he buys it foreclosed, it turns it into turnkey rental, and then finds an investor to take it off their hands and get most of their capital back and still provide a good return on investment to his investor. It's a great kind of turnkey model. I know Wayne is doing a little bit of it. I know Jay Tenbaum's doing a little bit of that. Great business model to have there as well. I'm a big proponent. This is another thing too, is if you take a property back in a decent size area, find out the local hard money lenders. Why would I want to reach out to local hard money lenders? Well, I'm a big proponent of reaching out to them and seeing what they would approve the project for funding on. If a traditional, or if a fix and flipper bought the house, what kind of financing can they get available on the asset? So in some cases, we've been able to get the hard money lender to give the asset pre-approved financing. Hey, we'll fund up to this and provide this on the fix and flips. So that becomes a really valuable asset at that point. And often, too, hard money lenders will often list the people they deal with. They'll often sometimes market your fix and flip or your REO out to their database because they want to get the funding on the loan come through them. So that's a really good little trick to help you be able to move assets that maybe you don't want to necessarily do the big heavy fix and flip, but you can still get it done and make things happy. Okay. Any questions, comments, things from you guys on building teams? Look, it's not the easiest thing to do, but you have to do this. You got to spend time on the phone, talk with people, do the same things that you would do if you were in the local market, except the fact that you're doing it outside your market. You're doing it all from phone, email, and you just got, sometimes you're going to go through 3 or 4 realtors you talk to before you find some. And I often find, I just went to the local real estate club, talked to the president, got 2 or 3 names from them. It's often going to be a much, much better relationship because there's going to come from, it's going to be a warm referral versus a cold referral, okay? Phyllis pre-approved from hard money lenders is a great idea. Yeah, it is, because they'll come out, boom, and that's a thing you can add. Hey, I got this pre-approved project, or they'll do the email blast out for it, or when you do post it to the meetup groups or Active Rain or the local REIA clubs, you say, hey, this is just pre-approved with financing from such and such company. It's literally like a deal wrapped up with a bow on top of it for both people. For you guys, if you're selling the asset, great, you got somebody financing. You don't have to worry about somebody going out and get financing. Usually hard money lenders can close in 7 to 10 days versus 30 or 45 or longer, depending if you do the rehab. It's also a win for the investor because numbers are in place. They can't really fight you that much on the deal because a hard money lender's already approved it for that. So it keeps you pretty clean if you can take care of that and take advantage of that, if you'll take the time to do that. Now, one great way to find hard money lenders from across the country is not only your local real estate clubs, but if you check out reiclub.com as well, the hard money lenders that are doing stuff in different states. That number has obviously fluctuated over the past years. I think at the peak it had 58 that were doing different things across the country. They may have whittled down. I'm not sure exactly what it's at, but once again, going to your local REIA club, you want to talk to the people. Like, I'll give you an example. Here in Texas, we have Jet Lending out of Houston. Eddie Gant does a really good job with that. You have Longhorn Investments out of Dallas that does stuff in Austin and Houston and San Antonio as well. I think Jet's doing stuff in Dallas as well. But those are just right off the bat, too. Then you also got Noble Lending here locally, who also is out of Houston. How do I know these guys? I've just talked to local real estate investors, people that run investment clubs. I also will talk with, if you have networking, like with different masterminds is a good spot. I made a lot of great connections in different markets from going to events where there were other real investors at. So when I was a part of the Collective Genius Mastermind, we had a lot of guys doing fix and flips all across the country. So I made note of where they were located, what they focused on. So when I did have something, I could move it to them relatively easy. It was a true win-win. I may have made a little bit less because they're investors just like you and me, but at least I got the deal done and closed and moved on and didn't have to drag it on. Another thing is like just going on the Financial Friends Network cruise this past couple weeks ago that I did second week of the year, meeting other investors in other areas of fix and flips. We met another buddy in Indiana who's doing some fix and flips, somebody down in Fort Lauderdale who's doing some stuff in that neck of the woods. So it's important to try to expand your network when you are out talking to people. This is all why it's also important when you go to events like the Paper Source Symposium coming up in August, and we're actually excited to have Bill Moncaro come on as a guest here in a couple weeks. Prior to that event, going out and collecting business cards. It's important when you go to Note Camp and you see that I'm sending a survey out to everybody on Note Camp, which we usually like to do, that you fill out the survey so you get the survey information, and now you have a list of people in different states and their interests, and being able to take that information, put it in your CRM tool so that when you do have a deal that needs help, you can do a quick email blast out to those people. Hey, I got a deal in your back cards. Are you interested? So cards are important. Connections are important. You want to get things done. I think another source for really finding stuff is just going to LinkedIn and typing in real estate investor in Indianapolis or real estate investor Columbus and seeing what pops up from there. It's not going to be as warm a lead as you would from a real estate investment club or a hard money lender or meetup.com, but it's still a way to find people on there and leverage your LinkedIn profile to make things happen. Now, the beautiful thing is if you just go on and search on Facebook or LinkedIn, you'll often find real estate clubs, Columbus Real Estate Investment or Houston Real Estate Investors, and you'll find groups that way to target to. But the beautiful thing is you can do it all from your home, your computer, your smartphone, whatever you need to do to make things happen. Thanks, Lane. I appreciate it. Good stuff. Laura Blunks, I'll finance the deal myself if a rehabber will come in with a little skin to do the work. I agree. That's a great source of owner financing technically. It's not a long-term loan, but usually 6 to 12 months mezzanine financing, let somebody get the fix and flip done and move on to it. I totally think that's a great way to do that, Laura. And if you advertise that often in the meetup groups or the real estate investment clubs or groups and things like that on Facebook and things like, you often have quite a few people take you up on that. So great point, Laura. Love that idea. I think it's a great idea there. The one thing I worry about when I carry financing is sometimes people don't have as much experience. So I'd rather almost deal with a hard money lender, make a little bit less, but at least I get paid back. And when you figure in the time value of money, if I take 5% less, but I get my money now versus waiting 12 months to get paid off, how does it equal out? How often can you turn your money and have the velocity of capital working for you to make more money and make things happen? All right. What other questions, comments do you guys have that are watching here on Facebook Live? Once again, thank you for watching. If you feel that this has been valuable, feel free to share it. If you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, or anything like that on the online platforms, first of all, again, thank you for listening. Feel free to leave a review. Love to hear what you like about the show. If there's any comments, questions, concerns, feel free to email me directly at scott@weclosenotes.com. One thing I am going to ask you guys to do, whether you're listening or watching, with it being January, we're going to start seeing some more tapes that come in from some of our sources, whether it's some assets that we're moving ourselves, assets we're taking down, or assets, not asses. Somebody said asses. Go to our website. Go to weclosenotes.com. And if you go there, you often see 3 buttons that pop up immediately on the homepage, whether you want to buy assets or join the mastermind or get trained. If you go to the buy notes aspect and register there, that'll get you registered to be on our note investors list that we'll send out these tapes to. So we'll be sending a list out here in the next couple of days as well to our database of investors on some assets that we have from a hedge fund that reached out to me last night and said, hey, would you mind helping us get these assets moved? So that's one of the biggest things that I would tell you guys to do. If you want to see some assets, you're more than welcome to register for that. And we'll see about getting some of these lists out to you guys here in the next 24 hours. If you're listening on the iTunes podcast, go ahead and register for the We Close Notes website. And that way you're on the list for our future tapes that we mail out. Okay? I know it's a beautiful day here in Austin, Texas. I guess it's supposed to get a little nastier here later the next couple of days. But the thing you have to keep in mind, everybody, is as you're doing business, I know it's very easy to get pumped up and then work towards something, and we're not seeing immediate results. It sometimes can be hard to stay focused. It's easy to kind of drift. Oh, I'm not really enjoying that. I'm going to do something now that's instant gratification. Okay, and the one thing I can tell you guys right now is stay the course. If you're dealing with struggles in your note business, you're dealing with struggles with finding assets, stay the course. Do a little bit extra. Push yourself a little bit further to do some things. Don't just settle for the status quo. Don't listen in to those that say they can't find assets or that, oh, it's overpriced. Look, I get that. I understand that some of the lower hanging fruit has gone up in years. The thing that's going to help separate you in finding things that make sense is reaching out to banks, but then also building teams in specific markets that can take a look at things. I mean, I've got several teams in markets that will look at anything in specific areas. And then sometimes, I'm moving assets that I probably wouldn't necessarily bought because I'm creating a win-win. I got people that will actually buy assets, not necessarily stuff that I would buy, but they're willing to take it down. I'm still making something off of that. And as we're buying, we're moving our wholesale on a few assets as well. So keep that in mind, everybody. There's a lot of ways to make money in the note business, a lot of great ways, a lot of great deals, and we're still seeing a lot of great stuff out there. So highly, highly recommend it. Go check it out. Go get on the list for We Close Notes as our note buyers as we send stuff out to you guys, and we're looking to do that out. Get a list out here before the end of the month and look to have our monthly offerings pretty much on a regular basis for you guys. So if there's any other questions on building teams in specific areas, how do I compensate realtors? Okay, good question. I compensate realtors in a variety of fashion. One, and first and foremost, you have to realize that you tell them that your institution, you don't want them thinking you're a one-man show. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing being a solopreneur, but you got to tell them, hey, we buying a portfolio of assets. We're buying a portfolio of assets, got a couple in the area. Can you do a drive-by CMA for me? I don't need a BPO because BPO is a cost to that for the most part. I need a realtor to drive by, give me some photos, give me an idea if it's occupied, and then it'll be a listing for you once we foreclose on the note. Now, the thing to keep in mind is I probably won't foreclose on about half of the deals because we'll work to get them reperforming. In that case, if we do get them reperforming, I'm still going to pay the realtor a flat fee. Now, if we do buy the note, turns out to be vacant, and we start the eviction or the cancellation of contracts, the foreclosure process, I keep the realtor involved. I let them know what's going on because it will eventually become an REO for them. In some cases, we've had realtors find buyers that were pocket buyers without ever having a list on the MLS. And that can be a win. And also you have to be kind of careful about that. Sometimes investors or realtors will not give you a true market value. They'll say it's lower than expected, trying to find a good listing to move it. So you got to be careful about that. That number is you probably see that about 1 out of 15, 1 out of 20 realtors. Most part, realtors are really, really good at quality at giving you information. They just want to get paid. They want their time valued just like anybody else. But you do get realtors like, oh, I can't go do that for less than $200. Great. You're not the realtor for me. Have a good day. The thing you want to do is you want to press, make sure that they give you the information in 24 to 48 hours. As far as the desktop CMA showing you recent solds in the last 90 days, the pendings and the ones that are on the market. And you want it, the comps or the comparables that they're pulling to be within 200, 300 square foot of your subject asset. All right. Now you don't want it to be all spread out, 3 miles away from each other. You want it relatively close, I'd say within a mile, if not less, preferably in the same housing complex, housing part of the your neighborhood part of the city that you're buying in or buying the asset in. And make sure they try to give you multiple photos. The photos where they're in the car and you can see the rearview mirror, those are really only acceptable if the borrower or the person living in the house is on the front porch or out in front of the yard. Totally get it, understand it, but that's why you want to make sure that they try to give you a decent photo, or they go back maybe once or twice. You never want to get photos. I've had realtors send me photos of the property in the dark. I'm like, really? I can't do anything with this. I need you to go back. All right? So that's the biggest thing. You have some lazy realtors sometimes will go by and take photos in the dark. I'm like, what good does this do me? I can't see the property. I can't get a good idea. Yeah, I can see where you're lit up, but I can't see anything else around there. So if that's the case, sometimes you just got to say next and move on to the next realtor. And that's probably the thing that takes the most amount of time is building your realtor network, especially if you're not reaching out to meetup clubs, especially if you're not reaching out to meetup groups. Those guys can sometimes take a little time to get back to you, but once you get somebody, they're usually pretty good and spot on. If you can meet them in person at some point, whether it's a investment club thing or expo, I think expos are a great thing to go to in specific areas. One of the best things we've gone to is the Ohio RIA. The end of last year in November, we met a lot of great people up in the Cincinnati area, realtors that we'll be using for our posts, our deals. We've already really nurtured some great relationships with some of those people and are excited that they're helping us out with some things. Okay? Well, guys, if there's no any other questions or comments on this episode of Building a Team, we hope that you found it valuable. We hope that you've taken some notes on how to help you with your note business, of where to reach out to, who to talk to. Look, it's just a conversation. It's all about getting on the phone and talking to people. First and foremost, not the hardest thing to do, but just got to tell them what you're looking for. And sometimes teams say, listen, I'm not the person for you. That's fine. Do you have something that you would recommend? Asking for recommendations, referrals is a very key, integral part to really building teams in areas along the way. Now, one person I did not mention that you may want to find is a property management team in areas. So those are sometimes great people to find out because they know the rental market, they know what's going on, and they often will have other investors who are looking for similar properties that you take down that they can basically take over and add to the rental portfolio. So other than that, guys, go out, make something happen, have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you all off the top, everybody. Bye.